Well, today I have Daniel with Valir Hospice. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, help me with your last name.
Laterally.
Okay, it sounds easier than it's spelled.
It really does.
Well, Daniel, of course we're going to talk about hospice, but what led you to this career path? I mean, where are you from and why did you decide to go into hospice?
So coming into hospice, that's a great question because it's a long path to getting to where I'm at today. I actually started, when I got in the Marine Corps, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And my dad's like, man, you love health, you love wellness, you love people, try the medical field. So I went to school, got a degree in exercise science, helped with publishing two research papers, one on cancer, one on exercise and fitness. And then I went back to school again to be occupational therapy assistant out in Kansas. Mm-hmm. And man, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I worked at Mercy Hospital. I worked in a few skilled facilities. And eventually, 2020 rolled around.
Yep.
I didn't have a lot of patients to see. Had to find another line of work. And I saw that Valir Hospice was hiring for sales reps. And I said, I can do this. So applied, got the job, and really fell in love with it. It was a different feel of how I can help somebody out versus therapy.
All right. So, a lot of people have the stigma of what hospice is. You don't call hospice until, you like 2 weeks to live kind of a thing, but that's not the case. Just tell me a little bit about that part.
No, so yeah, it's definitely, we don't ever want to wait till it's too late. That's kind of like the saying that goes around with every hospice company, don't wait till it's too late. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because hospice offers so much to people, the quality of care, helping out families, the patient, making sure they have all the medical equipment, mm-hmm. medications are in place, and getting the family prepared and the patient prepared for when the time comes. So some people say, well, 6 months or less. Well, if you can say that, but the data has shown that if you come onto hospice sooner than later, you actually live longer than anticipated.
And why is that?
It's just the quality of care they're getting. They're getting so much more hands-on. Mm-hmm. You're having, you got an RN, an LPN, you have a health aide, chaplain, a social worker, you got me. And so you got all these people who's visiting them, mm-hmm. caring for them. And so just that quality of care, that compassion and all that love that's going in that patient's direction, mm-hmm. I mean, I can't see why you wouldn't want to live for longer,
That's a good point.
Or why the body just doesn't say, yeah, this is great.
So what's the trigger for hospice? Like at what point, how do you declare, okay, you are now a candidate?
So there's several different criteria that has to be met, and all of it really is through Medicare.
Okay.
But ultimately is if the patient has a critical illness that the physicians see there's nothing more we can do for you, whether it's congestive heart failure, COPD, cancer, it could be a numerous illnesses. Mm-hmm. But when they're like, there's nothing more we can do, your body's rejecting all the treatments, and you've got a continuing decline that's happening.
Okay.
We need to talk about hospice care because we don't want you to spend your last moments on earth in a hospital. We want to get you home and get you cared for. Mm-hmm. So.
And I didn't know this, but it's not just home. There are many places that you can offer your services.
Absolutely. So we cover long-term cares, assisted livings, independent livings. We've had patients. There's a hospice house in Oklahoma City. We've been able to go in there and care for our patients. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not a homeless shelter, if we can get the medical equipment into there, mm-hmm. we can care for that person. I think you and I were talking a little bit before about when we go into these people's homes, one of the places was that they didn't have any running water. So we had to bring jugs of water in to help them out. So yeah, wherever we can get their medical equipment to them, we're going to help them out.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And I know I experienced hospice, and it helped us a lot with taking a load off. So now we can go and run an errand, or go out to eat or something, and we know that the patient was being cared for and is in stable Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So sometimes families don't want to ever leave, and they just want to keep caring for their loved one, and I get it. Man, it's your mom, or your dad, or your wife, or your husband, man, and you love them. You love them, right? So it's hard for you to say, man, I got to run these errands, but I can't leave her right now.
Yeah.
So that comes in, like, we can go in there, we could have a chaplain sit down with them for a little bit, or get a volunteer to come in. Hey, look, I'm gonna sit here with her. Let's go run some errands. We also do something which is really unique, is respite care. So sometimes caretakers really need more than just a few hours of a break, because it can really wear them out. So we could do respite care, where we will find a placement for their loved one to go for 5 days while the caretaker gets that little bit of a break.
Wow. Okay. So that's a big deal. I didn't realize that was even a thing.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's
okay.
and it's great. I mean, we cover it. We cover the costs on that. We'll send them to like Cimarron Nursing Home, or just whoever offers respite care. Hennessy Care Center. That's another place that offers it. So yeah, we can get them set up wherever they really want to.
So let's talk the hard question, cost. So I understand all or most of this is by Medicare, or is that a thing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on your insurance, right? So if you do have Medicare, Medicare covers this at 100%, which is amazing. A lot of people don't know that, and I've had that question before with families, like, hey, what is this going to cost me? Because we're burning through a lot of money right now.
We've already spent all the money on
Yes.
up to this point. Yeah.
And then you have private insurance, and most private insurance are like an 80-20 split. But yeah, we try to help out however we can financially if that's an option that we can do for them. So.
Okay. And then what's I guess at some point somebody makes a decision to stop feeding the patient and these kind of things. How do those decisions work?
So that's a good question. That's really would be based on the nurse. Okay. So our RNs out here is Elizabeth Davis and Shelby Crum. That's our two RNs, and they'll make that call on that part. Okay. And I don't want to speak on their behalf because I'm not a nurse, I'm not clinical. Sure. But typically it's when the body really says that we're not processing the food anymore. So it's what the body's doing, not so much what we're going to say or do, and say, now we need to stop feeding. Got it. If they can enjoy a Brahms milkshake, let's get that for them.
Well, that was my dad's thing. For his last week, I brought him a strawberry milkshake every day. Nice. That was his thing. He just he lit up whenever that showed up. So
absolutely.
That's pretty cool. So why Valir? Why? I mean, first of all, why did you decide to go with this company, and why is this company the way to go?
So one of the reasons why I searched out Valir as my next chapter in my book, per se, is when I worked at Mercy Hospital, they would have nurses or reps that would come in and they would stop me in the hallway. Hey, Daniel, we're picking up this person. Can you tell me a little bit about them? They're very professional, very courteous, and I'm like, man, I really like these people. And in the medical field, you want to look for that if you're going to be part of a team. So,
all right, very cool. Is there anything I left out on your side of this conversation? I know there's a lot of important decisions that go into making the call and things like that. Is there any part of this that I missed?
So on making a call on going on to hospice care?
Sure.
Yeah, so it's really, anybody can make that call. And it doesn't have to be your physician. If you feel that your loved one is needing hospice and they're like, we're just done, we don't want to do this, but the doctor's like, well, let's try some more treatments. Case in point, my uncle he was put on hospice, and they were like, hey, we can do more treatments. It'll be a year of recovery. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So it was my aunt and him that made the call, like, I'm done. My body can't take it. I can't take it anymore. I want to move forward with hospice care. Yep. And the physicians, they'll definitely honor that, if that's the way they want to go.
And I remember going through that with my dad. They wanted to keep doing stuff. And conversation with him was, I'm done. I want to enjoy the last little bit I've got here. So
absolutely.
And
enjoying your time with your family, and not having to be rushed to the ER or going to and from appointments and stuff like that. You just, I just want to be home. I've had a lot of people say, man, I can't wait. I just want to get home and hang out with my dogs and watch the cows in the back. That's all I want to do.
Yep.
And it was great.
Understandable. That's what I want. Well, minus the cows.
Minus the cows? Okay.
All right. So when we come back, we are going to hang out with Jake and the chaplain of Valir and see what that side of this conversation is all about. Stay tuned.
Community. That's what F&M Bank is all about. Being a family-owned and operated community bank for over 120 years ensures we have strong roots in our community, relationships, and financial foundation. Our staff has long-standing relationships with our customers and can provide a personalized service to enhance our banking products, whether it's a home mortgage, business loan, personal or business banking services, personal loans, and more. Our objective is to serve our customers to the best of our ability and to be part of the growth and prosperity of our region. We are here to serve our neighbors. How may we help you? F&M Bank Kingfisher, serving generations of Oklahomans.
And we're back. And magic of television, we've changed places here. This is Jake Linhart.
Yep.
Wow, I got it right. And you're a chaplain with Valir.
Correct.
And so what's a little bit of your background? Why did you get into this business? And
So I got into ministry a little over 20 years ago, and I did traditional.
I'm sorry you don't look that old.
Right. I started pretty young, but I did traditional ministry. I worked inside the walls of the churches. I helped start a couple of nonprofits. I did some mission work, and my mom. Part of my story is that when I was 3, my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and for 40 years she lived with it, and the last couple of years of her life, she ended up on hospice. And my parents live out of state, and so I'd make my trips and I'd make my phone calls. But I watched my dad, who never really got tired in his life, just really struggled. And when they got to a place where they're accepting some extra help, I got to see the benefit of hospice coming into the home. The other part of my story is that one of my life verses is found in James 1:27. It says, "Pure and faultless religion is to care for the widows and orphans in their time of distress and to keep yourself from being polluted by the world." And so I just remember reading that thinking, well, that sounds really good, widows and orphans. And so my wife and I, we've stepped into foster care and adoption. And then we started taking care of our elderly people in our neighborhood. And through my mom's experience, it kind of opened my eyes to another form of ministry. I never really thought about chaplaincy, never thought about it in the terms of hospice, but I saw the benefit, and I thought to myself, this is something that I think I can do through my experience in ministry and just my personal experience.
Wow. Okay. So describe a little bit about what you do as part of your job.
Yeah. So Valir has a chaplain team. All of our territories have a chaplain assigned to them. All of our patients have a chaplain assigned to them. It's a supportive role, and it's an optional role for the families.
Okay.
We make contact with the family or the patient and find out if that's something that they would benefit from and that they would want. Sometimes the family wants it, but the patient doesn't want it, and vice versa. So we support whoever needs it.
So it's optional.
It's optional.
Okay.
We have to be interfaith. So whatever that patient's beliefs are, we're going to step into that. Even if they're a different faith tradition than I come from, we're going to support them through that. I see myself as a supportive person in that person's life. I'm trying to help them prepare for what it means to be on hospice and to think about, their life and find some meaning in it. Sometimes we're trying to go back and cross over burned bridges and repair relationships. Sometimes we're working with the families in some of those things. And then we also I recognize that, a person is a mind, a body, and a soul. And our nurses take care of the body, and our social workers work with the mind. But what about the soul of the person? That part of them that feels like something's going to happen after they're gone,
right?
Regardless of what their belief is. And so I get to step into that part of that person's life and offer that support.
I thought of that part. You always think of the medical side of this
That's
thing.
right. And there are bedside, angels in a lot of ways. And so, but there's another part that's going through this. There's a family that's going down this road together.
That was my next question. So, I mean, of course, your focus is the patient, but there's a whole other side of this equation.
That's right. And so there's a family in this. We're trying to help them with final arrangements. We're trying to get them to think about what it means to say goodbye. We're trying to get them to work through anything that maybe they won't be able to do when that person is gone. Maybe it's I'm sorry or I forgive you. Sometimes it's about them addressing some of their fears and worries when it comes to what happens to you after you die and what's going to happen to their loved one. And so we step into that. Part of what I do too is I see that for a lot of our patients, because of their health, they find themselves isolated, because they're not able to get out and do what they used to be able to do. All their friends that they've grown up with and done things with over the year are older and struggling themselves in a lot of ways. And so one of the things I really enjoy doing is just playing music for them. I don't sing or play an instrument, but I bring my Amazon Music and my Bluetooth speaker.
You had a harmonica.
Oh, no, I would try maybe. But just to give them that, and say, who do you like to listen to? And so we take trips down memory lane, and I do a little research on the different artists. So we talk about their history and try to just to get them to reflect a little bit and to find that even though maybe their life isn't turning out like they hoped, or maybe they have some things that they wish they could have changed, doesn't mean you can't enjoy this season.
Daniel talked about sometimes hospice extends life a little bit, and I didn't even think of the part that, as you age and get ill, you get isolated. You might be in a nursing home or in the hospital, or even at home you can't get out, and now you have all these people interacting with you and cheering you on, and you visiting with them about the past and music and things like that.
Yeah.
So that alone can lift your spirits.
Absolutely. And I think from a spiritual standpoint, most people expect the chaplain to come in. When I think of a chaplain, I think of the Padre on MASH.
Yes.
With the priest collar and the rosary and the glasses and the soft voice. And we can definitely do that.
Yes.
But really what they need to know is somebody's there for them without an agenda. Somebody cares about them. And to step into that other part of their life of like, what's going to happen to me when I die? Where do I think I'm going? How do I get there?
Well, when you first came, I'm thinking, so your job is just show up at the last minute and read their final testament or whatever, and that's not the case.
No. We visit at least once a month. It's a requirement from the insurance and the regulations, but often we go more than that just to provide that extra support. I have patients I see every week. I have patients that I see once a month.
Right.
And so it just kind of depends on where they're at. Something that makes Valir unique too is we all strive as chaplains to make sure that we're making contact with the family within 3 days of end of life. And so when our nurses decide to report out that a patient's health is declining and it seems imminent, then we start going every day or as much as possible and just checking on them, because then it starts to feel real for the family. While they've been on hospice for a year.
Sometimes that happens very quickly.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
But our experience is that we have patients that are just not on their deathbed. Sometimes that happens, right? But most of the time they're just either deciding that I don't want to continue aggressive treatment anymore, or they've been told that there's something going on that we can't fix anymore.
Right.
And so, so we just we make our initial assessment, and then we just kind of go from there.
Wow, you do a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that someone should consider when that time comes that we haven't talked about?
Well, I think it's important to go with a company that's local. We're a local company. We started in Oklahoma. We're only in Oklahoma for hospice. And so I think that's important. I think for this area in particular, it's really great because a majority of our staff lives in your radius.
Well, and I experienced that. I'm not even sure, this was many years ago when we did the hospice thing, but the nurse that showed up, we actually knew her.
Yeah.
Because she was from
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And that's really beneficial, I think, because I grew up on a small farm in a small town, and when you get somebody that speaks small town, right, it just makes you feel a little more comfortable. And when you get somebody who, you know, your kids went to school with, or you run into at the grocery store, it allows to care. You don't just think through like, well, this is somebody I'm seeing, but this is also a family I'm going to run into
Yeah.
as long as I live in this area.
Yep.
And so the type of care that you give and the relationships you build are different.
Wow. Pretty cool. Jakey, thanks so much for hanging out with us today and telling us about what you do and Valir. And,
Yeah.
if you have a need for their services, you see their cars everywhere with the logo on the door. And
Yeah.
in fact, I've seen you running around or seen your cars running around town and wasn't really sure what it was you did, but now we do.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned.